Well, hello and welcome once again to the DCL podcast, where we're inviting you to sit back, relax, and we'll be on our way shortly. Well, if you happen to be watching this live, we're going to actually put this on the podcast feed as well, so you'll be able to listen to it there. But we are going to jump into our Cabanas episode, where we cover a smorgasbord of topics, and this is May's edition. And we've got some changes. Disney Cruise Line announced some changes with the testing procedures going forward. Christy, you want to start us off with that?
Yes, it's the most boring topic, you guys, and we're not going to spend that long on it because, frankly, it could change by tomorrow, and I'm over it at the moment. But Disney changed all their testing. We're going to say this at the end of the story, but I'm going to put it at the beginning. Please double check the website and the know before you go portion of the Disney Cruise Line website well in advance before your cruise to make sure you're properly vaccinated, depending on what country you go to. To that point, if you are traveling to a foreign country, make sure that you are double checking their requirements. I mean, you're traveling to a foreign country for every cruise, but if you're like going on a European cruise or an Alaskan cruise, you need to check out some of those specific requirements because they are different and they could affect your cruise, and it may not, be in a positive way. So the under 5 still have to get tested before their trip, and they have to be that COVID test has to be submitted within
3 days,
or has to be taken no more than 3 days before your cruise. Make sure that it complies with Disney's requirements for what's accepted. If you are cruising out of the United States, my recommendation, and listener Brian was the first one to bring us this, but my recommendation is to get that Walgreens NAT ID Now test because it's quick, it's easy, it's effective, and Disney accepts it. So the under 5, the rules haven't changed so much. If you are cruising out of the United States or Canada, starting June 7th, so 2 weeks from now, you have to test sort of basically like every other cruise line is doing before your cruise, before you arrive. And unlike the other cruise lines, you have to upload that test to Safe Passage.
That's not quite right. You can test before you arrive, or you can still test at the port.
Well, yeah. So I was going to say if you don't, but the requirement is still you're supposed to test before you arrive. Every other cruise line also has that you can purchase a test at the port if you haven't done it ahead of time. But their desire is to get you to take the test before you arrive.
To speed things up at the port.
Yes. So there is that eMed test that is like in a box, and you literally call India, and I'm not trying to be anything except that is what you call, and they proctor you taking that test. So if you want to do it at home, but honestly, you can still do the Walgreens test. And now that it's so readily available everywhere, that test you can only schedule 3 days in advance. CVS, you can schedule 2 weeks in advance, but CVS, a lot of their tests, the results take longer to come in. So just some stuff to keep in mind. So take your test before you go or pay. And there's different prices depending on if you're in the United States or in Canada and what your requirements are. If you're in Europe, you are still taking the test from Disney before the cruise. And right now, the waits are incredibly long, at least for the first sailing that left. So the transatlantic occurred. The Magic went to Europe. She arrived. People did the things people do. And the next set of people got on, and the waits were pretty long. So she'll be in Barcelona for a little bit. Then she's moving to Rome, where she'll be for a little bit. Then does she move back to Barcelona? Either way, there's a lot of different countries, and she goes to England. So there's going to be a lot of different nuances depending on where your departure port is. So if you're going to Europe, make sure you just sort of stay up to date on what the requirements are because they'll change. And they even put out there, hey, if you're cruising in less than a month, like Steve and I are from Europe, they're like, we don't exactly know what's going to happen yet. Check back. So just know this. Obviously, as of now, if you are in Europe or Canada, you still have to test before you fly back to the United States. So there's that issue as well. Like, how are you going to get your test? What is the procedure going to be in place? So you kind of just need to plan for that. And that has to be 24 hours before your return. That little test in a box, that eMed test, actually will work. The issue is you have to have internet. Like if you're leaving the day of your flight, or if your flight is the day your cruise ends, those are just more things to figure out.
Yeah, not making it easy, I guess. So just to kind of go back and to reiterate, if you're 4 and younger, everything is still the same. They've got to test up to 3 days prior before your sail date. We recommend Walgreens as a possibility, especially if you're down in the Orlando area. You can make a appointment 3 days prior in that 3-day spot. Otherwise, you have to be fully vaccinated to get on board the ship still. And you have the choice of either doing it yourself at home 2 days prior. And there's a whole bunch of different.
Yeah, not officially at home. You could do it at home, but it has to be proctored.
Right. There's a whole different range of options there. Go to the website, follow along. If you don't do it that way, then they're going to charge you when you get to the port to do it the way we've all been doing it at the port. So, and it's like you said, Chrissy, $74 right now for the initial test. And if you fail that initial test and have to do another one, then it's $125 for the second one. And Canada's got some different pricing. So if you're going to Canada, watch that. I've been looking a little bit into the Europe part. I know that that's not as many of you guys who may be sailing to Europe, but they do have testing at all the airports in Rome. They supposedly, if you're leaving that day, they get you into the front of the line, but they also say we can't guarantee you how long it's going to take. So that is an option to do it at the airports. My brother's been over there twice. He's in Scotland right now. He's bought the eMed tests and done that. That works really well if you're at a hotel. If you're on the Magic and getting off the Magic and going straight to the airport and Disney's Wi-Fi, that could be a problem. So,
and like even if you turn on cellular, I don't know that the cellular is going to work to cover doing this consultation with,
right.
You have to call too. So who knows?
We will definitely, at least Chrissy for sure will definitely report back what her experience is in Europe. We may not be going to Europe, but that's a whole nother story. Hopefully we will. So, but we've got a passport issue.
I never heard about that. Well,
you have to tell the rest of the story if you're going to bring it up.
No, I will. So the bottom line is what we just said. What you said at the beginning, Chrissy, is please read all of the emails that Disney sends you. And then the thing that we missed was Wake looked at her passport, and Greece requires 3 months. It's got to be valid for over 3 months when you leave. And so she thought she was good, and I didn't really look at it and wasn't thinking about it. So I went in to check, and her passport expires 4 months. So as far as Greece, if we just went over without the cruise, we're good. But Disney requires 6 months. So if you're in Europe, your passport has to be good 6 months from the time you get off the ship. So watch that.
So such an intense rule.
Take a moment, since you've already shared. I was never going to go there with that story, but
yeah, it's okay.
What can you do if you find yourself in an emergency situation with a booked trip, whether it's a cruise or any other booked international trip? What do you do if you find yourself in a passport expired situation? What are your options, Steve?
So you have two options. One is and I can't remember the name of it, but if you just Google Rush Express passports, one of them gives you an option from 5 to 7 weeks, which in the dead of winter, probably going to get your passport in 5 to 7 weeks. We had some people last summer, took them 10 weeks to get their passport. And
but last summer stuff was taking a long time.
That's true, but this
still
summer.
Is actually.
So, exactly. So that you can go through FedEx and do it. It costs you an increased price. Our passport office here where I live, you can do it there with them as well. So that is one option. So if you're 2+ months out, that's one way to go. The second option is 14 days prior to your departure from the U.S., you can call the passport office. There's a line on that site. It'll give you this option, and they will give you an appointment 5 days prior to your departure. But you also have to give them a confirmed copy of your ticket, basically. Yeah, to confirm that you're actually leaving the United States. And so 5 days during that 5 day period, they will try and find you an appointment at one of the passport offices, and it could be anywhere. So our closest one is Seattle, San Francisco, San Diego, and LA, and Honolulu. So we're hoping we're going to get one of those there. The good thing with this option, though, is when you get that appointment, if you can make it to that appointment, you get the passport. You physically get the passport right there, and then you're good to go. So
There are travel clients, not of mine, but of my agency, that has had to thought that their passport was fine, go on their, Mexican vacation, realize their passport is expired, have to run to Detroit to get their passport renewed, and have had good luck doing that. And now that they make appointments, I think that's even easier, because otherwise you used to show up and just go, open, and can I get in? Can I get done today? All of that. But
yeah, so we'll let you know how that turns out. But yeah, anyways, if you
hopefully
and just remember that 6 month, this is only for Europe, for Caribbean cruises and the cruises out of Alaska, and also the cruises down to Mexico. That is not the case. It falls under a different rules. So
thank goodness. Yeah. That's so intense.
All right, let's jump into something else. Disney Cruise Line.
More fun stuff now. Yeah, fun. We're having the fun conversation now.
Yeah, we'll jump into the really fun stuff. Anything else about testing, guys? Chris?
No, we will see what it's like in a month. It'll start mattering to me when we hit July.
All right, Disney Cruise Line set sail to Alaska. The Wonder is back up to Alaska. Seen some really cool pictures from people up there visiting Skagway, up at Tracy Arm, Juneau, Ketchikan, and everything else. She's currently she's back. Well, no, she came back today. She's back here on the 22nd. So back to Vancouver. So she did her first 7-day sailing. She continues through the summer up there to Alaska. There's plenty of bookings available up there. So if that's in your bucket list to try and do that this summer, there's plenty of spots on the Wonder if you're going to go up and see Alaska. I know both you and Chris love it, don't you guys, Christy?
Oh, love Alaska. I'm going back next summer.
The best. And also, y'all, Disney is giving discounts on booking Alaskan cruises. That is so rare, and clearly actually a window into what's going on right now with the cruising industry, because for Disney to be discounting Alaskan sailings, which historically have been
the most
super
expensive.
Popular, and not just discounting them, but they're discounting them on one of their smallest ships, which means imagine if they had double the amount of rooms to fill on the Dream or Fantasy. So it's definitely a time to go if you can book a last minute cruise to Alaska.
Before we go on really quick, we have a couple of shows that we've already lined up. Listener Dennis, I did reach out because I had to ask him about something else, is going to Alaska. He's going to come on. I think he's going in June, and I think he has to wait a minute because he has all kinds of awesome stuff before he can record. We have somebody else going a little bit later in the summer. She's going to actually record with us in the fall and is doing some really cool shore excursions. So I'm excited actually about that episode. So people preparing next year can get that benefit of those shore excursions. So we will have some Alaska episodes coming out this fall. Anthony is going to Greece as well, and also to Northern Europe this summer. So that could be a cool episode as well.
Definitely want to hear the Northern Europe. And then Andy and Joe are on one of the Iceland one, the big 11-day one. And then the Towlers are also over there as well. So a lot of people traveling to Europe. I think our shows are going to be a little light on Alaska this summer. And a lot of that has to do with, unless we don't go to Europe, then I'll have a lot of free time. But now we're going to Europe regardless whether we go on the cruise or not. But that's neither here nor there. I think the shows are going to be a little bit light on Alaska, but I promise we'll try and fit them in when we can.
And I think we will also do a lot more shore excursion shows. We're going to rely on the fact that at least for these European cruise shows that we really want to focus on, maybe less of how the everyday cruise went and more what kind of cool stuff did you do in those ports, so we can all sort of benefit from what our listeners have done.
Christmas on the Wish, that's going to be a magical lobby there. What will the wand do, Chris, at Christmas time? You think it'll do something different? Light up the tree?
Every adult and child in your party will get one at Christmas.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Wouldn't it?
We don't think they're going to change. I don't think they're going to change in the first season, though anything happening differently with the wand, but that's just me.
Oh, no, they wouldn't in the first season. They've advertised it. What I was going to say, though, is they've already announced that the Halloween tree is enhanced on the Wish with new features. So maybe the Christmas tree will be able to get up and walk around the ship and talk to people or something.
Let's stick with Halloween because that was the last topic I had, and then we'll jump into the merchandise one. But new Halloween experiences are coming to Disney Cruise Line if you guys are ready for that.
Yeah, so Halloween on the High Seas sailings are featured on many of the cruises that happen throughout September and October, and that's going to be aboard all ships. So even if you're on the Wish or the Magic, no matter which ship you're on, there will be Halloween on the high seas. DCL announced, though, that there's going to be special entertainment this year that includes trick-or-treating, spooky parties, elaborate decor, limited time food and beverage items, aka what they've done every other year. But they have a new ship, which means an opportunity to build out some new cool decorations, which is where the Wish comes in. They did send some concept art. It looks pretty cool. So look out for a brand new character meet and greet featuring Minnie, Daisy, and Clarabelle dressed up in Hocus Pocus outfits. Hocus Pocus 2 is coming out in September. Y'all, every millennial is screaming across the country right now because Hocus Pocus is our jam collectively. So that's going to be so exciting. I was telling Steve and Christy that I think it is so camp and so tongue-in-cheek. Like, they know that these characters are going to look ridiculous dressed up as the Sanderson sisters, and that's amazing, and I cannot wait. Aboard the Disney Wish, guests are going to encounter a new pumpkin tree in the Grand Hall featuring a special pumpkin that sprung to life and became a certain princess ride to a fancy party, aka Cinderella's pumpkin, which is cute because Cinderella's statue is in the atrium there. So, you know, they're doing some nice Wish tie-ins. If you ever went to the model of the Wish and the Cinderella statue over at Hollywood Studios, they show something that not a lot of people talk about, which is the idea that there's a portion at the bottom of the dress that flips up and the mice pop out and then it closes, which would be the first time we have a moving lobby statue, which is adorable. And only during the Halloween season, the entire Cinderella statue gets up and walks into that special pumpkin. It's going to be really cool. So the camera's ready.
That's not a thing.
Adult exclusive villainous takeover. So Christy has booked 7 Halloween on the High Seas cruises party each.
But what will that involve? I mean, there hasn't been an adult exclusive something like this ever, right? And so
no, but new. Why is it featuring Olaf? I'm so confused.
Well, I put that in there. That wretched scoundrel.
I was like, this Disney, they're getting tricky.
I thought maybe Olaf was getting stolen.
Okay. So here's my thought about the adult masquerade. Adults love a masquerade party, right? Like, we're into that. We like to dress up. We like to have a Halloween thing. I bet a lot of adults gave some feedback that was like, excuse me, why can't you put some candy bags in my room so I can go trick-or-treating, right? I paid for this cruise. So I bet you this is Disney's way of being like, don't worry, adults, here's some exclusive, like a masquerade party, which honestly sounds like, you know, a fun thing that I would be excited to do. So yeah, I'm into it. Also, listen up for a ghostly take on ship announcements. I have no idea what that means.
I think they're just going to change the announcements, with maybe the ghost host or something like that might be doing them or something like that. I think that might be kind of cool.
Okay, well that's cute. I don't know if that's worthy of like a press release, but you know,
I guess you have nothing to press release. So
you got to throw out what you can throw out, right?
Yeah. Right, I mean, great. There's going to be. I just picture like the different entertainment cast members or crew being like, tonight, come to Princess Tiana's restaurant. It's like, okay, that's cute. So yeah, that's a Halloween on the High Seas. I have done one, but only during like super COVID time, like one of the first cruises back COVID time. So I don't know what it's like. If you've been on a Halloween on the High Seas, especially if you go on with these new offerings, we want to have you on the show because I got to hear about this masquerade party.
Well, I think the masquerade party is normal. I think it's the adult-only villain party. That's the new thing.
Oh, villainous takeover. I get it. Okay.
Didn't they have like that villain thing at Epcot or something like that a couple Halloweens ago before COVID? You went to it, right, Chris?
I went. It was at the
Magic Kingdom.
Magic Kingdom. But Christy famously was disturbed by my description because they have a show where you're waiting for the 5 planets to align so the villains can destroy all of the heroes from the Disney movies. And spoiler alert, the 5 planets align and the villains destroy all the heroes and the show ends. It is literally like them being like, the villains have killed everybody you love. And then it's over. And I was like, not expected. That would be like Fantasmic ending with like Maleficent eating Mickey right there at the end, you know? Like, it's just like a true shock of a show, and they just kept it. Like, they were just like, this is going to be every Mickey party for the whole Halloween season.
Maybe that's why it was the last time they ever did that show, because they said it was too ridiculous.
Honestly, I was living
Misty
for
needs
it.
her happiness.
I was looking around at these kids being like, did Mickey just die? And I was like, this is wild. You are wild, Disney World. What are you doing?
See, but I think they could have a lot of fun with that if they do something like that. And I think adults would take it in stride and have a good time with it.
Oh, yeah.
Liz is pretty excited about her, and I'm with Liz too. She says that the Haunted Mansion voice does the ship announcements, she'll be so happy. I think that would be so cool if it was the Ghost host kind of telling you what's going on that day.
And then she has a Halloween on the High Seas, so she'll be on too. And just to note, if you're wondering why we are mentioning certain people like Dennis, who's cooking his dinner and listening, these are our Patreons who get to watch us live while we're recording. So you can look at patreon.com/DCL podcast for more information.
Join us on
commercial.
Patreon.
And we're all going to go over to Dennis's house after he gets done cooking, so we can have something to eat since we're busy doing this, right?
I already ate.
One of these days. Oh,
7:45.
That's true. All right. Should we jump into some merchandise stuff? Who wants to talk about which one do you want to talk about first? The stuff you can pre-order or some of the inaugural stuff?
Let's talk about the pre-order.
Okay.
The website has already been broken. That there was a pre-order release for the Disney Wish for onboard gifts and amenities for the Disney Wish cruises.
So before you jump into that, so what we're talking about is stuff that you can pre-order for all the ships, but on the Wish specifically, they had some different things. So you can still order stuff on all the rest of the ships, but on the Wish, they had some very specific items, and that's what we're kind of talking about. So go ahead, Christy. I'm sorry if I jumped on you.
No, that was good. They have the Sweet Dreams with a cozy Disney Wish gift set for only $70. Did you put for only $74? For $74, featuring a plush blanket.
For the low price.
Matching porthole pillows featuring Captain Minnie and her first officer, Mickey. Then you can surprise your shipmates with specialty decorated Bon Voyage decor for your stateroom for $70. The stateroom will be decked out in Disney Wish embellishments, including a Bon Voyage ceiling banner, 2 pillowcases featuring Captain Mickey and Minnie, an oversized towel, which Steve wrote, your kids will enjoy fighting over, and a set sail ceiling banner and a dry erase board featuring cool blues and stately bronze colors. Wow, Steve. Did you take this from them, or did you come up with some of these birds yourself?
No. I took it from them. So
okay, to keep the nautical theme ship shape and help Andy forget the new awful cream color. If you listen to the last Get Excited About the Disney Wish episode. So has anybody purchased that?
No, but I did want to talk about this because I purchased it for Star Wars Day at sea, and it was about that same price. And I was like, Chris, who are you? This is going to be some gross polyester blanket and a little pillow or whatever. And the quality was better than I expected. I'm not going to be out here and say that it's worth $7,000 or whatever, but the quality is nice. And the real story to me here is that the demand was so high for these pre-inaugural or for these gifts that I think if you're not on one of the first 4 or 5 ships, there are certain souvenirs that they made for the inaugural sailing season that are going to be gone by the time you get there because they're just super popular. Funnily enough, there are things that they made for the inaugural seasons of other ships that you can still buy.
Was that a pun? Funnily?
Funnily? Wait, what's the pun in there?
Because the funnel.
Oh my gosh, Dad.
Sorry, I had to point that out. Go ahead, Chris.
I couldn't even find the pun because it was so far from my mind. Okay, I was like, what happened? But okay, for example, on the Dream, you can buy, or no, not the Dream, the Fantasy, you can buy, you know how you can buy the lobby statue for $30 or $40 from every ship? On the Fantasy, they sell metal, bronze versions of the mini statue on actual leftover marble from building the ship.
What?
And I think that they thought this is gonna go, and still to this day, at least the last time I was on the Fantasy, for $200, you can buy this bronze mini lobby statue, actual bronze, not plaster, and then actual marble that they use to lay the floor.
Do you own that?
No, of course not. I mean, actually, I shouldn't say of course not, because that's 100% the thing I would buy and then sleep.
And didn't I
next
just
to.
buy you a statue thing?
Yes, but I buy the ones that are $30 or $40 because hobbies in Disney are very, very expensive. So anyway, my point is there's a lot of really cool stuff you can buy. But Christy, what do you have to say more about this?
I bought the beach towel.
You did? How much is that?
And it was lit. It was the $70 one. I don't know how much it was.
Wait, not for a beach towel. What else is included in that?
Well, that's the one I just talked about, where you get
Okay.
like the dry erase board, which used to be included, can I just say, based on your Castaway Club level back in the day. I still have my silver one from like 2014, but it has this 2 pillowcases, which, what are you going to do with 2 pillowcases? But a ceiling banner, again, whatever. I spent too much basically on a beach towel, but it seemed like a nice beach towel. And you know what? I want to remember this experience of being on the ship the first month it set sail. So Blake and I will have a beach towel that we'll share, because we always, and it was Liz that twisted my arm, and it wasn't difficult.
Well, there's still a couple more things to cover.
Yeah.
There's a birthday package and then something for adults only.
And those are Wish themed, or those are just general?
Yeah, I think they're Wish themed still.
Okay,
it's a happy birthday. You go. You can read the Celebration
I'll get the Celebration at Sea, because that's the one I might buy. This is how my brain works. I'm like, I won't buy the most expensive thing or the least expensive thing. I'll buy the middle expensive thing, which is the Happy Birthday at Sea.
No, the next one is.
Well, okay, the one with
Steve's
alcohol.
really thrown us a loop for the next one. But the current one is the Celebration at Sea package, which starts at only the low price of $82. Celebrating your special someone, whether they're 1 or 100. Featuring Happy Birthday dry erase door magnets, 1 oversized towel, which you're sure to lose on your way to the pool deck, and 2 pillowcases featuring silk spun from Minnie Mouse's silk collection, and a Happy Birthday ceiling banner, and a playful Pluto scarf for your guest of honor to wear. And my birthday is on August 5th, and we get off the ship on July something right near August 5th. So I could
we will be
see
celebrating
myself
your
doing
birthday.
this. Yeah, we definitely should, because this is something I could see myself doing. But, you know, who knows? What is it? Is it going to be super high quality or not? I don't know. I can't promise. But Steve, tell us about the enchantment package, because I've just thought this was the same thing they did for everybody, but now I'm seeing there's more.
So all of these are
There's
Wish
more.
themed, which makes them kind of special. But I think the thing you guys have done these before. We've never ever bought anything before. Are these prices in line with what they normally charge? Okay.
Yes, they're expensive.
So they're not like over the top, I guess, for the Wish sailings. They're kind of in line with everything else. So I was sort of excited about it, but then when I saw the actual glasses themselves, I wasn't too excited about it. So I don't think I'm going to do this one. But if you want, there's the much anticipated enchantment package for only $199. And included in this is a sale time gift package of 2 stemless champagne flutes, each with the Disney Wish logo etched into the glass. You also find a gold finished Disney Wish collectible pin, a brushed gold aluminum frame, which fits 4x4 pictures of yourself and maybe Pluto or Donald down there on deck 4 running around, decorated with Disney Wish art, plus a luxurious, I like the way they said this, and this is not me making fun of it, but they actually said faux leather travel girdle.
I put the word luxurious in first.
Wait, did you just say a full leather travel girdle?
No, journal.
Journal.
Oh, I thought it was like
How do
a
you say
joke
it?
you put in there. It's like
Faux leather.
bringing in girdles.
Yeah, a faux leather travel journal, luggage tag, and lanyard, all with the Disney Wish logo embossed in gold foil. If you don't order this on board, look for it after you're sailing on eBay for 4 times the price.
Oh, totally. Those eBay hawks. Disneyland and Disney World are desperately trying to fix it with the whole like only 2 items per person. And I'm like, it's not working. You can still find everything on eBay.
I just wasn't excited about the champagne flutes. I would have done it, but I didn't like the base of them for some reason. It looks like I can't even remember what they're made out of, but
They were too much.
yeah, wasn't for me.
Apparently those weren't available to be purchased online. Like, it just wasn't working. And then also, I guess the towels and the birthdays, I think it was definitely the one with the beach towel. It was sold out or not able to go through online, but then people were still able to call and get them purchased. So if you wanted them and you have one of the sailings this fall, you could always try calling to see if it's available.
So those are some of the things that you can order ahead of time, just some Disney Wish specific ones. There's also, a ton of other things. You can get beer packages. You can get just a regular birthday package as well. If you're selling on the Magic, the Wonder or whatnot, you can order all that ahead of time. And that is, if you look under your sailing itself, I think there's usually a link at the bottom, or otherwise you can scroll around through the Disney website. You can eventually get to it. Then you have to input either your reservation number so it knows which port you're leaving from, or tell them which port you're leaving from, because some ports may not have the same things that other ports do.
Right.
So,
yeah, there are more things available if you leave out of Port Canaveral than any other port. And when I say more things, I mean like every port, except maybe Europe. I don't know actually about Europe, but almost every port you can get flowers for your stateroom. But if you leave out of Port Canaveral, you can get like a bunch of different flower options. If you leave out of San Diego, it's like, would you like a rose on your bed? Which is like, okay, well, I see that you have a better flower system in Florida set up. This is also true, though, for the resorts. Disney World, you can have flowers waiting in your room for you and a couple of like pre-arrival packages there as well. But
talk about general, price for those. Like everything starts at like $350. Well, it's not true. There's like, you can get 2 Rice Krispie treats and a cupcake, not even a cupcake, 2 Rice Krispie treats and a little something for like $75 plus 20% gratuity and like a $12 delivery fee. So expensive. And they have like these big elaborate birthday things that are like $400.
Yeah. It's a racket. I feel like this particular one makes a little more sense to me on the ship, because you're like, well, they're not available in the gift shop. Like you can go get those Mickey Rice Krispies from literally your lobby at your Disney World hotel. Like that is not a difficult thing to buy in the gift shop. But
exactly.
But this stuff, you actually can't buy it on the ship. It's like, unless you bought this pre-travel thing, you can't get it. So I feel like if you really like the look of them, do it, because you won't be able to buy them in the gift shop. At least you couldn't with Halloween on the High Seas or Star Wars or Marvel. All of that was like, if you pre-ordered that stuff specifically, you could get it. Otherwise, you couldn't find it in the gift shop.
And it isn't like, I have looked at those Disney florist gifts that you can get at Walt Disney World, and I'm like, maybe just one time. I cannot bring myself to do it. And you guys, I will spend money on certain things and experiences, and I cannot bring myself to pay those prices to get something to be in our hotel room when we arrive. So, but this towel, I was like, my kid will love the Captain Mickey pillowcase. I don't get the thing with the pillowcases though. Why is that such an exciting thing? Have this pillowcase. But whatever.
Wait, there's a Captain Minnie pillowcase?
Mm-hmm. Chris is going to buy it now.
Oh, okay. Well,
a whole new story.
On Christy's email account.
No, because guess who will keep the Captain Minnie pillowcase?
Fine. All right, well, maybe I'll switch over from the birthday package.
And you can save $10.
All right, well, let's move on here, because you two are going on a sailing on the Disney Wish before the inaugural sailing, and I hope that you guys have some opportunities to get some type of merchandise. They've got to be selling something, right?
They would have to be, right?
I would.
Why wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Well, if they thought that we would buy something that was supposed to be available for the inaugural sailing. Like,
they won't tell us that, but there's not that much, I don't think, that's available for only the inaugural sailing.
So you think anything available for the inaugural season will be available on the sailing? Okay, well, I'm super excited.
If it comes in, right? Like, it needs to be there, because there are those problems.
Shipping delays.
So hopefully, what are you excited about? So I already know that you guys want the little keel coin.
Yeah,
right?
I want the keel coin for sure, because to me, the keel coin reflects, like, I wouldn't want the keel coin for any other ship, but for a ship that I sailed on in the inaugural season, that to me is a collectible, because the keel coin has everything to do with the building of the ship, right? It's a ship building tradition. So to me, having that keel coin during the inaugural season is like a cool inaugural souvenir that I know I want. Everything else is up for grabs. Maybe I want it, maybe I don't. Oh, and of course the lobby statue, because I collect those.
Which, by the way, is very big. You know this, but you need a lot of luggage space for that.
Yeah.
I hope they'll sell stuff. And then maybe some of the listeners don't know, because I feel like maybe we talked about this on our Patreon Zoom show, but Chris is actually going to join me and my family on our pre-inaugural cruise in earlier July. So she is bunking up with us.
It's going to be great. Blake and I have already had our FaceTime to discuss logistics. It's just going to be a lovely, lovely thing. Chrissy and I were like, we're not going to be in the room. We're just going to be exploring this brand new ship. And this also feels kind of special because it means that we get a scoop, right? Like we get to talk about the ship before the inaugural sailing. We've already made plans to record with Steve on the day we get back so that we can get that out to you all. But we're super excited to be able to tell you about it because literally, I think the next day they leave for their inaugural sailing. So it's going to be your chance to hear at least what our sailing was like.
You guys are going to be putting up shower curtains and dusting things and getting everything
there's
ready for that inaugural sailing.
Other inaugural sailings, pre-inaugural sailings before ours. So whatever,
Right.
At least we're on one.
The Good Morning America sailing.
Yeah, the Good Morning
What
America.
is that? Do you think, did they really have a whole sailing?
It's wild.
Yeah.
And there are some cruise sailings or cast members. So cast members that have been able to get on, if any of them are allowed to talk after their cruise, we'll make sure we talk about
Interview them, yeah.
But I don't know that that's a possibility.
I haven't mentioned this out loud yet, but sometimes I think about how jealous I am for the crew that are on the ship right now because they're training them, but it's not like a normal, there's guests and we have a really intense culture and environment of having to get everything right. So I think it might be really fun to be on the Wish right now while you're like getting everything ready and working with your like other crew members and learning the ropes and checking the beds. And Steve said something that like they test every bed and they have people spend the night in each stateroom just to make sure that like the faucets work and the lights work and this works and that works. And I'm like, that would be just like a really fun month on the Wish. So I'm sort of jealous of all those people who just get to be on there right now doing all the testing.
There are long hours from the reports of people from the crew that have posted about their times. And I think I had talked about after my Christmas cruise that one of the crew members was talking to me about launching the Fantasy, and he was in dining and he said how awesome it was to be on the launch team. So before they, like the people that were just in the Netherlands, like right now they're in the Netherlands so they live in like apartments and then, before they moved onto the ship. So I think they're onto the ship now, but before they did that, they were in these like apartments and they got to go back and cook and do all like live in a house, play soccer and do all these things when they weren't working their very long hours. So that would be kind of a cool experience for sure.
I do know, talking to a couple of them too, it was pretty stressful once the ship launched because, trying to meet those standards and everything else. So I did hear from a couple people that they didn't want to go back and do it just because they enjoyed doing it the one time, but they're kind of like, let everybody else work the kinks out and then we'll go back to it. So,
well, and like they say, working out the kitchen is like one of the hardest parts because to get the flow of the dining and all the meals out and everybody even getting the flow of making that many meals and just all of that was very difficult very different too than a well-oiled machine already.
Yeah.
Well, and it's also 3 restaurants that don't exist anywhere else, right? Like with Animators, they just copied the menus over for all 4 ships. But here it's like, what is the menu at 1923? Like, what do you put in a restaurant like that?
Where does Steve get his escargot?
He's not going to get it anymore, probably.
Enchanté?
It's got to be. Well, and how long is Queen Ayana going to be on the stage too? Like, is she going to like do some improv or anything like that and extend the show? And you're trying to get those dishes out to people. You just never know what's going to happen, and who knows what Olaf's going to do? That dastardly villain that he is.
We never know.
So we skipped one item talking about the inaugural stuff. There are some inaugural, everybody that's on the inaugural sailing got an email out. I think Scott Sanders covered that on his Disney Cruise Line blog. It showed like all the different things that were available for people on the inaugural sailing to order, but there are also pieces of or merchandise that they've announced that are part of the inaugural season, like you were talking about, Christy and Chris, as far as how long this is going to last. But they did announce a couple different things here that are going to be available. You guys want to talk about that? Some Pandora stuff, also Dooney and Burke.
Okay, Disney Cruise Line uploaded several new exclusive lines of inaugural merchandise that are only available on the Wish. So that's going to be super exciting. There's going to be a new set of Pandora charms featuring Rapunzel, who is the Stern character on the back of the ship, Captain Mickey.
Oh, Captain Minnie. I said that wrong, sorry.
Oh, thank goodness. I was so sad. Who cares? Okay, Captain Minnie. Woohoo! And that's going to be amazing because Captain Minnie is right there on the bow of the ship. I will say, in my entire life, this is no shade at anybody who collects Pandora jewelry, by the way. I need to just say that. But my entire life, I had friends being like, you seem like someone who would collect Pandora jewelry. And I would always get so insulted by that. I would always be like, oh, I would never collect Pandora jewelry. Wake and I have literally been texting about me starting my Pandora jewelry collection. I don't know what's going on. I just have come into my own. I'm ready to turn into that Pandora jewelry Disney. So anyway, I'm actually kind of excited about that. I told Seth, like, hey, birthday gift, Pandora bracelet. Loungefly is going to provide a mini backpack and a new pair of mini ears, which both have light and dark blue details along with sparkles. And finally, there's going to be a new Dooney and Burke. The Dooney and Burke thing truly can't with that one. It's so expensive. I never realized. It's like Loungefly, but then 3 times the price. Super expensive. But maybe it's real leather. Maybe it's really special. They do have a Captain Minnie tote bag, which is cool. Captain Minnie wasn't available to sit down to have his face drawn, so they just picked Captain Minnie for that. There will be more bag silhouettes available on the ship. So those are all some really fun merch things. And we mentioned the Kill Coin. We mentioned some other things that are going to be like just inaugural season stuff. So I think the shopping on the Wish is going to come in clutch. It's going to be fun.
I do wonder if they'll be able to do like some online ordering on the ship, but probably not, huh? You'll probably have to get down there and pick it up.
Yeah, I wonder how that's going to go, because the reality is you could say you can only purchase 2 items of something, but are they tracking that? Because I can come every day and pick up something, right? Are we being concerned they should give out coupons or something for those heavy items? Because honestly, I don't like the grossness of let me go and purchase this so I can sell it on eBay for 7 times the price. Like my little friend back there, when I got an extra, I can't point to it, but when I got extra ones, I didn't sell it for overpriced. I sold it for what I paid for it to other people who wanted the great bucket as well.
That's honestly one of the reasons why D23 Expo is not as fun as it could be, because it's just like intensely populated with people who want to sell things for a profit. And that's just like not as fun as like true avid Disney fan people. But
exactly.
I don't know. It's hard enough to get on the Wish, though. Here's the thing. It is hard enough to get on the Wish in its inaugural sailing season that I think we're going to be on the ship full of Disney fans, right? Who are not just there to scalp things and sell them online.
You're right. There's not going to be the person in the ball cap that's at the Run Disney event somehow before the actual runners are at the Run Disney event when it's 90 degrees outside and in their ball cap, taking all the merchandise, 2 of everyone, so that they can sell it so that the person running doesn't get to it.
Yeah, it can't be that because we're all on the ship anyway. So you would have to be a super dedicated eBay person if you wanted to buy everything and sell it on eBay. So you had to buy a ticket to get on the ship.
Just don't do that, people. Don't do that. Buy what you want.
Well, those are all the topics we have for May. It was kind of a light news month, kind of, I think, in a weird sort of way. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on, but I feel like a lot of the stuff coming out of Disney Cruise Line mostly focuses on the Wish. So that's what we touched on, the merchandise available. And that's to be understood, I guess, in a lot of ways, as far as she is the most exciting thing happening, except for unless you're going on a different cruise on a different ship, then that's the most exciting thing, right?
Yeah, cruise is the most exciting thing, right?
Yeah.
Like whatever cruise you're going on.
Right. So anything else you guys want to touch on tonight? I guess we could talk real quick, Chris, about your dessert party at Disneyland. Is there anything special about that?
Yeah,
I
we did.
hope that that came across. Was there anything special about that, Chris?
No, it was boring. Never mind. No, it was great. So World of Color has like a super special place in my heart because everybody who ever went to Disney California Adventure in the first decade that it was open would gladly tell you that it was easily the worst theme park Disney ever made. Like, without question, everyone agrees Disney California Adventure for the first decade it existed was the least innovative, least impressive, least imaginative space. But when they reimagined it and they added all the really amazing things that they did, World of Color was their anchor. They were like, we want a nighttime spectacular and we're going to do it right. And World of Color that just came back this 2 weeks ago or whatever is in its original form. So it's like OG World of Color is back. And that was honestly like one of those super special things. Like maybe not quite as special as when Fantasmic comes back, but we knew we wanted to show it to our foster kiddos. So we were like, let's do it up. We'll do the dessert package because you get a seat. The way the dining package works is it's like $90, 80 something dollars, whatever. Unlike at Disney World, where it's like buffet style, the dining package for the dessert party here is like they give you a plate and whatever's on the plate is what they're giving you. In this case, it included like savory cheeses and crackers and then some really fun desserts that were colorful, World of Color themed, and then bottomless drinks and things like that. The seats are in a great place. They will seat other people with your party. So you don't just get a table by yourself, which you should expect even at the Frozen dessert party in Disney World. They would sit strangers with you if there was room at your table. We didn't think there were going to be strangers because we were 3 and the table seats 4, but there was a solo person.
Oh.
And she came and sat with us, and it was kind of nice to get to know her. She was an annual pass holder who doesn't live in Florida or California. She has annual passes in Florida and California and just flies there whenever she wants to go to the parks. So that was kind of fun to meet that person and, you know, talk stories and all of that. So, and then also that night was the night of the eclipse, the lunar eclipse. So our foster kid was like wide-eyed and so amazed by that and told literally every human around us,
I love
look at the moon, just for an hour. So
I would have said that too.
Yeah. So it was great. I would say it's you're not going to know if you will know rather if it's worth it for you, right? If is $80 even in the budget, that's more than half the cost of a park ticket. And, you know, the food is certainly not anything to write home about, but it's like a fun place. And it is so nice to get a seat while watching one of these shows. So that's my vote. In the coming weeks, I do have a Fantasmic dining package for the opening weekend return of Fantasmic. Obviously, I'm very excited. And I have a new thing that is really weird, and I booked it on a whim. No idea what this is. But apparently, they opened up a restaurant dining experience on the top of the old People Mover platform in Tomorrowland at Disneyland.
Really?
And you eat dinner on the top of that platform, and then you watch the fireworks from your dinner table.
Stop it. Tell us about it.
So
I feel like
that
this
too.
is a blog post for my blog that I would really just like you to write for me.
Well, you know, hire me.
Oh, yeah, no, the blog doesn't make any money. So.
Oh, okay. Well,
how about I bring you with my family on
a cruise
and have to sleep on a bunk bed?
I'll just write you a blog post about it. Yeah, the point is, it's weird. I've never heard of something like this, and also that doesn't seem like a particularly great place to watch the fireworks from. But I'm also like, they must know something I don't know if they decided to make a whole experience of it.
That's awesome.
And it includes a 3-course seated meal. So I think it's going to be fun, and I will report back next month on how those 2 experiences went.
Well, it's cool they found a use for that space, I guess, because it's been
abandoned
abandoned for years now. So, and I guess before we get out of here, Christy, you were at Hollywood Studios. You were at Epcot just this past week and got a chance to ride on Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind. You want to touch on that real quick?
Yeah, so I think it was a couple weeks ago, maybe, but my family went. It is Dave's favorite coaster at Walt Disney World, favorite ride at this point. There is loud, fun, like 90s music and backward launches. It is not my favorite ride. It is not a ride for me. And I'm not going to give spoilers. I'm just going to say very briefly that some people's kids absolutely loved it. And because I have a lot of friends in the community and things like that that have tried it with their families. So these were the pass holder and DVC preview. I actually had gotten both previews, was supposed to go to the DVC one, and then I wasn't going to ride it a second time, but I would have brought friends and stuff, and my husband would have ridden it again. But then my son and I got sick, so we weren't allowed to leave the house. And I think I made the reservation, so nobody left the house. And it opens this next weekend for Memorial Day weekend for the public.
Everyone.
Yes. To get on the ride, you can try to get a virtual queue. And I guess that would be the advice. You would try to get a virtual queue first, and then you get a lightning lane and can kind of pick your time and pay to ride. So it is called a family thrill ride. And I think family is loose because it's, the restraints are made to be individually sized for your body. So, you can adjust it for each of you, which I think is where the family comes in. And the height requirement isn't very high. Yay for family. But it really is for family that want the thrill experience. My son very much hated it. I very much hated it. I can see how it would be cool, but I was so motion sick that it became less cool for me. And I do feel bad, and I want to get my husband on again because he didn't get to experience it quite as much as he should have because we hated it so much and he knew we were hating it. And so he needs to get back on so he can really experience it. It's 3.5 minutes long. And I know this because before the ride took off, I said, "Hey, how long is this ride?" to the cast member checking us. And she's like, "It's 3.5 minutes." So we were like, "Is it 3.5 minutes yet?" Like at one point in the ride, and like, how close till the end are we? But yay, Disney. They really did make a very smooth coaster. And people talk about other screens. Yes, there are screens, but it's an actual track going and doing things. And so depending on, and it like tilts and goes sideways a little bit. I describe it as like Everest meets Flight of Passage meets the teacups, except it doesn't spin in a circle. That is the way I would describe that ride. And so you decide if that works for you or not.
I don't think Wake's going to go on that one because if you got motion sickness, she got motion sickness really bad on Rock and Roller Coaster last time we were there. Yeah. So I think we're going to have a pass on that for her.
And I got dizzy. Like I had to, my son was playing because we wanted to get him less feeling traumatized by the experience. He was kind of traumatized. He's a scaredy cat though. We were like looking for him and I was moving around, and the act of doing that after riding that ride made me all of a sudden very dizzy, very ill, like because it was like delayed motion sickness problems. If you have motion concern, one of this other Disney person that I follow and I were chatting back and forth about it. She also took some like Beaumine, I think. Amber, who helps us with our Instagram, friend of the show, she took Canadian Dramamine. I don't recall the name, but like that's a thing you can do. People think it's a cool ride. And so it just, if you have motion sickness though, it may be less cool for you.
Well, good advice there. So exciting for other people to be able to try it, I guess. Starting Memorial Day weekend. It'll be interesting to see like how easy it is to get the standby queue or whatever it is.
It won't be easy.
Did they give a price out on that yet?
No.
I'm sure it'll be as much as Rise. 100%. Whatever they're charging for Rise is what they'll charge for this.
And I look forward to Chris's take on it. And
really,
we can't wait.
Really cute. One more thing. It is clever. Like the pre-show and the pre-show or whatever. And even the start of the ride, I know nothing about any of those movies, right? Like literally nothing about any of that genre. And I found entertainment value out of the pre-show and like the pre-show. So there is some goodness to be had there.
I've heard there's also amazing special effects in parts of the pre-show.
Maybe.
She's not going to give it away.
I was so traumatized.
Oh my
No, it's
gosh.
not that I'm not giving it away. I was so traumatized by my tilting coaster that I've
You
lost.
blocked out your entire line experience. Well,
Yes.
I will say that any new ride is an exciting thing for me, but I get super, super motion sick. So
I know if you couldn't handle Remy, I feel like not that you couldn't handle it, but that you were.
But that's what I was going to say. I felt a little motion sick after Remy, but I was fine for the rest of the day. I also went later, a different day on that trip, went and rode Tower of Terror, and then my kid wanted to go on Rock and Roller Coaster, and I did that right after. And I was down for the count. Like, truly had to go back to the hotel room and sleep until the next day. I was so motion sick. So we'll see how I feel about this. But I have an arsenal of medications. I will take them, and hopefully I'll be fine.
Yeah, Wake was in the same boat as you. She was out for the count for the rest of the day after that. But she did it on an empty stomach with just coffee. So I think that kind of caused her some problems as well. So
Mistakes.
I know. Well, guys, anything else before we get out of here tonight then?
If Wake doesn't want to ride it, we can go afterwards and get some Pandora charms.
Yeah. The funny thing is she had zero interest in Pandora also. Like she's like, who would buy that? I don't want to buy
Me neither.
That. I know.
I just got it last year and now I love my little bracelet.
I know. And now she's obsessed.
Yeah. And they're expensive, but so cute.
Listen, I literally felt so insulted when people would be like, Chris, that's probably something you would like. And I'd be like, oh, no. And here I am like, all right, I'm ready to become a full suburban housewife. I'm going to get my Pandora jewels. I'm going to do the whole thing. So that's going to be my birthday gift this year, Pandora jewels.
Well, welcome to the fold, Chris. All right. Well, as we get out of here, thanks for everybody who was able to hang out with us tonight. Sorry it was such a quick note, or actually no notice, I guess. Sometimes we just like to surprise you sometimes. Fun always to touch on a bunch of different topics on Disney Cruise Line. So we will be back next month with another Cabana show before Christy and I hopefully head over to Europe. And
I hope so.
Yeah, no, it'll work out. Fingers crossed. Lots of stuff coming out for the Wish. We got some Hawaii cruise trip reports that we're going to get out hopefully before.
At some point, we will have a Hawaii cruise trip report.
Yeah, we got two. Fun. Yeah, we got two good Hawaii trip reports to get out as well. Hopefully before the Wish sailing, and then all the Wish stuff too. So
is that like a 2-week cruise?
10 days.
Whoa!
Because it's 10 days each way. They swapped out. Yeah.
Where did they stop on the way back to get their international stop in?
No, it was left out of Vancouver, so they didn't have to stop on the way there. And then on the way back, they could just go straight to Vancouver. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah, because it wasn't going out of the U.S. Like, if it was going out of the U.S., they would have had to stop at, like, Victoria or something like that if they went out of Seattle.
Fascinating.
That makes any sense. Minutia. Anyways, all right. Well, as we get out here, thanks for everybody for coming back and taking a listen. Do appreciate each and every one of you who listen and support our podcast. And thanks for all our Patreon supporters as well. If you'd like to find out more, as Christy said, you can go over to patreon.com/DCL podcast to find out all the information there. And if that's it, we'll see you next time on the DCL podcast. Goodbye, everybody.
The DCL podcast is not affiliated with the Disney Cruise Line, Walt Disney Company, Adventures by Disney, or Run Disney. All of the opinions expressed on our shows are those of the hosts and the guests who appear on the show. If you have any questions about any of these products, please contact the Walt Disney Company.